2 pages of announcements. Strap yourself in, guys. Well, if you've been around our church for longer than a year, if you've been through a Christmas season with us before, you would know that right about now is when we announce our Give project for the year. This is really our way as a church of taking something of a reality check, seeing Christmas for what our culture has told us that it's supposed to be, and taking some active steps to fight against wholesale adoption of what the commercials on TV say about it. Because culture tells us to feed our consumeristic self until we are stuffed full, and then take an extra bite, and then force extra bites on our kids. If your thumbs aren't already sore, we don't do Black Friday shopping anymore, which I guess is a convenience, but we do have a Black Friday week now. And if your thumbs aren't sore from that, and you haven't done everything you needed to accomplish on that, and they haven't sold you everything they want to sell you yet, take a break for the weekend and come back on Cyber Monday and do it all again, because that's how Christmas seasons work these days. Buy this thing, bury your kids in plastic, don't forget batteries because they weren't included. I learned that you can't just have one Christmas tree anymore. You need a Christmas tree in every room of the house or you're doing it wrong. Indulge. Treat yourself. Your neighbor got a big 50-foot inflatable Santa Claus. You need a big 50-foot inflatable Santa Claus. I went to Lowe's and I just wanted some tools and they tried to sell me a Minion with a Santa hat on. I don't need the Minion. My favorite that's sort of new, I guess it's been building for a couple years, is we've been reading your text messages, we've been listening to your conversations, and we already know you want this shiny new widget thing. Don't worry, Facebook is going to advertise it to you. They jacked the price up, it's 20% off. Now is your time. That is what culture tells us Christmas is all about. And as a culture, we swim in this stuff throughout the year. It's not just Christmas. We swim in it every day. But at Christmas time specifically, it's like quicksand. But as Christians, we know that Christmas is when we celebrate the coming of the Messiah. And the Messiah is the one who told us, don't follow that path. It leads to ruin and destruction. Instead, build yourself up treasures in heaven. So as a church, each Christmas for the last 10 years or so, we've taken some time to redirect our attention away from all that messaging that the world tells us and try to focus on something we can do to give instead. To replace some consumerism with some generosity, thinking more of others than of ourselves. Now, most years, we pick a project that we want to sponsor, that we want to do, that we want to give money towards. We usually just do one, and we raise a bunch of money for that one thing that we're accomplishing that year. The past few years for our Give series, we've raised between $20,000 and $25,000 and sponsored a bunch of projects along the way. This year, we're mixing things up just a little bit. We've had conversations with a number of local nonprofits. We're trying to keep it super small circle local this year. And we're trying to take a handful of smaller bites and sponsor a handful of smaller projects. And just to keep the dramatic tension, we're going to announce step by step, week by week, little bits of the puzzle along the way. So each week, we'll peel back a little bit of the layers, tell you a little bit more about the next phase of the project. And we're also going to be raising money week by week for those projects as well, with individual targets set for each phase. If we raise enough money each week to accomplish all the goals we had for that project, then anything we raised in excess of that will roll over to the next week to begin funding the next project with a little bit of a boost, a little bit of a head start. So today, I get the privilege of revealing phase 1, and you'll hear about phase 2 and phase 3 later. Usually in our Give series, we raise money all throughout December, and we cut a check in January of the following year, and then give the gift in January. But this year, the first project is a little bit time sensitive, and we actually need to cut the check by this coming Friday. So for phase 1 only, this is not common for us, but for phase 1 of this year, it's a little bit time sensitive, so we're putting this one up front, but it's also low-hanging fruit. We don't actually have to raise that much to knock this one out of the park. So whatever is given this week, and I think it can happen all this morning, but we're going to keep it open till Thursday night, is going to be for phase one. So this is phase one. Since 2019, so just the last couple of years, each year the Casey Police Department has partnered with the Casey Public Safety Foundation for an event that they call Shop with a Cop. A number of kids age 4 to 17 from the Casey community, they're recommended to the program through the school systems and through social services as kids who are likely to not get anything for Christmas this year. Through this program, each child is given $200 to shop for themselves and their family, and the cops will take them for a trip to Walmart, and they'll go around and help them pick out all the stuff. And you would expect that most of these kids would just completely indulge on themselves, but actually they've seen a lot of these kids buy themselves something nice, buy stuff for their siblings, and even throw in a fry pan or something for kitchen supplies or clothes that they need as well. We think this is a great opportunity for us as a church to sponsor a bunch of kids in the local area that aren't going to get anything for Christmas anyway, but we don't get to be the heroes. The local police department gets to be the heroes, and no one has to know that we were even there in the first place. Last year, 33 kids were involved with Shop with a Cop, and this year they're expecting about 10 more. So our goal for week one of our give season is to sponsor those additional 10 kids that the program is having to account for this year. So for those of you who do the quick math, it's $200 a kid. We're looking to sponsor 10 of them. That's $2,000. Usually we raise between $20,000 and $25,000 in our whole sort of give season. We're only looking for $2,000 for this. But because it's a little bit out of the norm and we're not giving anyone any notice and it's like this week only, this first week we're hoping to get a home run on $2,000, hopefully this morning, but if not, through Thursday of this week. Shop with a Cop date is December 16th. So we will actually be able to see from the sources how that goes before the end of this season. We'll actually get an update on that in December of this year as well. But the families will be selected and notified on December 6th, which is why we have a little bit of a time crunch on making sure we cut that check early. Now, normally we don't ask for any money on week one, so this is a deviation from the norm, and if this is unexpected and you can't do it because this is November still and your December budget hasn't come around yet, there will be other opportunities for normal kind of give procedures to play out. But for those of us who have the capacity to help out on this one, we'd love to knock this one out of the park, home run on the first week, a little bit extra so we can boost on week two and go into week two with a little bit of a head start. So how do we do all this? If you're super tech savvy and you use the app, the Church Center app for your giving, there's about 50% of us have installed that app, so I know there's a bunch of you that won't apply to. But if you use the app and you go to the Give tab, there's a drop-down menu for the Give series specifically. For everyone else on our website, it looks like this. You hit the Give button in the top corner, and then it'll pop up with a little window, and it'll default to General, and then there's a drop-down that says Give. Most of our church gives regularly anyway, and our Give project is in addition to normal giving. So you can still give to the general fund. If it's automatic for you, that's fine. It'll go into the general fund anyway. But if you're trying to give specifically to Give, you are going to have to take that one step, drop down that menu, and hit Give. If you give in person, it's going to be pretty normal as well. There's a Give slot on either side in these little walls. It doesn't have a label or anything. It's just that little wooden box. And there's envelopes on these tables that have the Give text on it. If you want the money that you're giving, cash or check, to go to the Give project, stick it in one of those envelopes, stick it in that slot. That'll get counted today. If it's not in one of those envelopes, we're going to assume that it's for normal, general offering stuff, and that won't be included in the Give project. So that's it. That's week one. Again, there's additional projects coming. We're looking for $2,000 in the first week so that we can sponsor a bunch of kids and make local law enforcement look like heroes in our community. A couple other quick announcements. This year, Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday. We will be having a Christmas Eve gathering here at 5:30 that evening. So that's in lieu of a meeting that morning. So we'll be meeting here in the evening instead. And we planned it early so that everyone who has normal family rituals on Christmas Eve will be wrapped up in time for you to go home and have dinner and do all that stuff as well. As a reminder, if you're new, we have our Connect Corner straight through these doors. Dr. Mike Goebel is over there. He'll give you a wave. There it is. You can talk to Mike. He will give you information about our church and learn a little bit about what the appropriate and best next step for you is. And lastly, as we get out of here, church, you are plan A. The Christmas season is an excellent time to be talking to your friends, family, neighbors, and colleagues about Jesus and pointing them to the truth of him. And it's in him that we gather. It's in him that we worship. Amen. Have a great week.